There's growing criticism tonight over a California measure that could expand a taxpayer-funded program on home ownership. The proposal would allow illegal immigrants to become eligible to receive interest-free loans on homes. Here's national correspondent William Lajeunesse.
We will end America's housing shortage.
By doing that, Vice President Kamala Harris hopes to make housing more affordable. In California, fellow Democrats are trying, not just for U.S. citizens, but illegal immigrants.
The social and economic benefits of homeownership should be accessible to everyone, regardless of immigration status.
Initially, only low-income citizens or legal residents were eligible for the taxpayer subsidy. But last week, Democrats overrode Republican opposition, changing the law to say, quote, an applicant who meets the requirements for a loan under the Home Purchase Assistance Program shall not be disqualified by the agency solely based on the applicant's immigration status.
It's taking money away from people that are here in California legally.
The lottery program provides some first-time buyers with zero-interest loans up to 20%. That's up to $150,000 in cash to use for down payment and closing costs. So far this year, the state paid out $255 million to roughly 2,000 buyers.
TIDLA is proud to sponsor AB 1840.
The bill's sponsor is a Latino advocacy group with close ties to Harris, who gave Chirla her first meeting after becoming senator in 2016. The group also supports her presidential run.
What the rest of America needs to be worried about is the Kamala Harris-Walz administration taking these crazy California ideas and nationalizing them and taking them to the rest of the country.
The state is repaid when the home is sold, plus a small percentage of any appreciation. Analysts expect the bill to pass the legislature this week. No word on if Governor Newsom will sign it.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the radical woke Democrats in California giving us a preview of what the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz administration will be like in regards to economic policy. It will be just like California, which currently is an absolute disaster. Okay. And one of the things that Kamala Harris is probably going to do under her administration is that she's going to prioritize making life as easy as possible for illegals. Okay. And giving taxpayer money to illegals, because that is who Democrats care about the most. We have plenty of video evidence of Kamala Harris on record showing us that she is an extremist on illegal immigration. I mean, this woman compared ICE to the KKK. She wants to abolish ICE.
I believe if someone crosses over the border, it is illegal, and you would decriminalize it.
I would not make it a crime punishable by jail.
My name is Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice.
Okay.
I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one. On day one. And thank you. Ku Klux Klan, the KKK.
Well, the Klan was what we would call today a domestic terrorist group.
Why? Why would we call them domestic terrorist group?
Because they tried to use fear and force to change political environment.
And what was the motivation for the use of fear and force?
It was based on race and ethnicity.
Right. Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
Officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a perception
that puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking you. Are you aware of a perception that the way that the discretion
I see no parallel.
I'm not finished.
I see none.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants and specifically among immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America? Are you aware of that perception?
I do not see a parallel between the power and the authority that ICE has to do its job and the agents and officers who do it professionally and excellently with lots of compassion.
Sir, how can you be the head of an agency and be unaware? And it is harmful in terms of leading those who are innocent people arriving at our border, fleeing harm. It is harmful to them. Ku Klux Klan. Ku Klux.
She also wants to give illegals free health care, subsidized and paid for by us.
Must be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Right. They are actively giving taxpayer dollars to illegals in these liberal cities, in these states across the country. California is going as far as to also help illegals buy houses, okay, as a part of their program to help first-time home buyers actually get a house. They are giving away free money, taxpayer money, upwards of what I think $125,000 or something like that, which may not be that much in California, but I feel like it would be a lot in North Carolina or other parts of the country. But anyways, yeah, they're giving this money away, and illegal immigrants apparently are included, right? They're eligible to get the funds. Take a look.
In the meantime, illegal immigrants in California now one step closer to receiving state funds that they could use for a down payment on a home. Senior national correspondent William LaJeunesse reports. Hi, William.
Well, Martha, the bill just passed the state Senate. Now goes back to the Assembly, where Democrats have a supermajority, and aides tell me it is likely to pass. The bill makes illegal migrants eligible for $150,000 to buy a new home. Lawmakers created the program so citizens and legal residents could afford to live here. But last week, Democrats changed the law to say this: an applicant who meets requirements for the loan assistance program shall not be disqualified solely based on the applicant's immigration status.
The social and economic benefits of homeownership should be accessible to everyone, regardless of immigration status.
So the program provides first-time buyers with a zero-interest loan up to 20% of the home's purchase price. So that's up to $150,000 cash up front for a down payment and closing costs. This year, this $255 million program sold out in 11 hours, requiring a lottery. 18,000 applied, 2,000 got loans. And when a home sells, the state is repaid with a small percentage of any appreciation. The bill is sponsored by a prominent Latino rights group with close ties to Vice President Harris.
What the rest of the America needs to be worried about is the Kamala Harris-Walz administration taking these crazy California ideas and nationalizing them and taking them to the rest of the country. The country can't afford to buy illegal immigrants' homes.
Well, this bill does have a lot of Democratic support. The question is, does Governor Newsom sign it? If it passes, smart money in Sacramento tells me he does.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, the reason why this conversation is important is because Kamala Harris has proposed a similar policy to help people buy homes for the first time, which I don't think is actually a good economic policy, but this is what she's putting out there, right? Free money for everybody, okay? Including if you want to buy a home. Now, it's funny because if you actually read the wording of what she's saying, which again is very vague, we really don't know exactly what the policy is because again, she hasn't really put out any policy, but she's saying that she wants to give first-time homeowners or first-generation homeowners $25,000 to buy a house, right? Federal assistance to buy a house. Now, she did not specify that, hey, only American citizens are eligible for this subsidy. Well, that was done on purpose, okay? Because Kamala Harris definitely is intending on illegal immigrants taking advantage of this, right? This is what she wants, right? She definitely will allow illegal immigrants to get taxpayer funding to buy houses. This is the exact same thing that they're doing in California. They're giving illegals money across this country in these liberal cities. So why would anybody expect Kamala Harris to be any different on this? And please do not let Kamala Harris fool you as she flip-flops on her extreme positions, because now all of a sudden Kamala Harris is pro-border wall, right? She wants you to think that she's going to be strong on illegal immigration.
Vice President Kamala Harris is flip-flopping on the border. That's the headline of an Axios story that blew up online. If elected, Harris has vowed to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on building a wall along the southern border. I wonder where she got that idea. The wall was something she once called, quote, un-American when Trump was in office. She also called the wall a vanity project for Trump. Let's watch.
This issue is about a vanity project for this president. Right. And it is a problem of his own making. Right. And listen, when I travel this country, folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on, instead of a wall that, by the way, because I was a prosecutor for many years, including the Attorney General of California, I specialize on transnational criminal organizations. Yeah. That wall ain't gonna stop them. No.
And here's another example from her 2019 CNN town hall. Let's watch.
This administration has decided to vilify them and to trade on them for the sake of this president's medieval vanity project called a wall. Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, and I do support border security. And if we want to talk about that, let's do that.
Here is how Harris spoke about the border during last week's DNC.
After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border. Last year, Joe and I brought together Democrats and conservative Republicans to write the strongest border bill in decades. The Border Patrol endorsed it. But Donald Trump believes a border deal would hurt his campaign. So he ordered his allies in Congress to kill the deal. Well, I refuse to play politics with our security, and here is my pledge to you. As president, I will bring back the bipartisan border security bill that he killed, and I will sign it into law.
Axios writes, quote, it's the latest example of Harris flip-flopping on her past liberal positions, such as supporting Medicare for all and banning fracking. To be fair, Harris's immigration policy still differs from Trump. She has opposed Trump's policies on mass deportation and family separation.
She is going to subsidize illegal immigrants moving into your neighborhood. This is what she's going to do. After she grants them amnesty, okay, work permits, and allows them to take your jobs, right? And guess who's going to affect the most, right? Guess who is going to affect the most? The people at the bottom of the income ladder and the middle class, okay? She's going to be paying for these illegals to move into your neighborhood, right? That's what's about to happen. That's exactly what's about to happen, right? And again, all these pro-blackity blacks out here talking about, hey, you got to vote for Kamala Harris because you're black, right? Well, somebody please explain to me what is so pro-black about allowing the United States of America to become new Venezuela. And I mean that in so many ways.
Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, in the very best sense, if you are taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax. When the value of your home goes up,
that's an old. It's a use tax.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes, even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way a stock moves, the way something else moves.
That's always the go-to answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the schools. You're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan are going to go to creating what she calls more opportunity. It's to make sure that every newborn born in this country gets $6,000.
Using the services.
Well, look, you're arguing that this is some sort of foreign concept that's completely unknown in the U.S. tax code.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably, and it was never in anyone's intent to tax.
It's not an income tax,
and it's never going to happen. Probably. Not in, well, I'm not going to say my lifetime.
I wouldn't say that.
Not in Becky's lifetime.
Yeah, I hope not, because that would be an absolute disaster, just like the rest of Kamala Harris's policies. And at this point, I don't know what to tell you, man. If you are one of these people that are signing up to vote for Kamala Harris, I just don't know what to tell you, okay? I want to go as far as to say you don't want this country to be successful, right? I'm not going to say you don't love this country, but your love is misguided if you think that loving your country means letting illegals into your country. If you think that loving your country means giving illegals money, taxpayer dollars, to have better lives than the people who actually paid into the system. I'm not sure if loving your country means turning your country into a communist hellhole, right? I'm not entirely sure how that is loving your country, okay? But if you sign up and you vote for Kamala Harris, knowing that her policies are this destructive because you hate Trump, that maybe your hatred for Trump is more than your love for this country. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.